Pain is not the problem. Running from it is. There comes a moment in every life when it feels like the walls are closing in. The pain is too loud. The silence is too long. And the weight on your shoulders feels heavier than anything you've ever carried. It's in that moment you think, why me? Why this? Why now? But I'll tell you something. Most people never hear pain is not the enemy. Pain is not the thing that breaks you. It's running from the pain that destroys you. Running dulls your instincts. Running makes your muscles weak. Running teaches your mind that avoidance is safer than strength. And over time, you begin to mistake numbness for peace, when really, it's just powerlessness wearing a mask. Let's make this clear from the start. This is not a motivational speech that tells you to smile through your suffering. This is a blueprint to use your pain, not as a curse, but as a catalyst to build the strongest version of yourself the world has ever seen. Because make no mistake, pain is the greatest teacher life has to offer, but it only teaches the few who are brave enough to sit with it, face it, and walk through it. You don't become unbreakable by being untouched. You become unbreakable by being wounded and still rising. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. If you're listening to this right now and you're hurting, let me say this clearly. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. Every crack in your heart, every betrayal, every sleepless night, every loss, every rejection, every moment where you felt invisible, it's not random. It's construction. It's the breaking down of who you used to be so you can make space for who you were meant to become. The strongest minds in history, the most disciplined souls, the people who walk into rooms with presence, clarity, and conviction. They weren't born with that. They were carved by suffering, molded by fire, and they chose when it hurt the most not to quit. Not because they liked the pain, but because they saw something in it that others didn't. Pain is feedback, not failure. Think about this. When your muscles hurt during training, it means they're growing. When your skin burns in the sun, it means it's reacting. When your heart aches, it means you still care. Pain is feedback. It's data. It's your body and soul saying, hey, you're still alive. You're still here. And there's still something to fight for. But most people miss that message. Why? Because they were taught to interpret pain as a red light, a warning sign to stop, avoid, distract, suppress. But pain is not a red light. It's a yellow light. It's a signal to slow down, pay attention, and extract the lesson before moving forward stronger. The ones who win in life are not the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who extract power from it. Here's the truth nobody told you. You were never supposed to go through life without scars. You were never meant to live untouched, untested, unshaken. You were meant to get hurt, to fall, to cry, to bleed, and to get back up again with more fire in your soul than fear in your eyes. Pain is not the opposite of success. It is the path to it. The greatest version of you, the version that doesn't flinch under pressure, that keeps their word even when it's hard, that can lead when others fall apart, that version is hiding on the other side of your pain. You want strength, you want clarity, you want purpose, then stop asking for an easier life. Ask for the wisdom to understand the one you already have. This is where we begin. This video is not about escaping discomfort. This is about turning discomfort into discipline, turning struggle into structure, turning pain into proof that you are not just surviving, you are forging something unshakable. Over the next few parts, I'll walk you through the mindset, the method, and the mission to use pain as a tool, not a trap. We'll talk about why facing the pain is step one to freedom, how to rewire your mind to interpret pain as power, what to do when you feel weak, lost, or alone, how to build scar tissue emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and how to make sure every wound becomes armor, not identity. But understand this now, this is not just about motivation. This is not about feeling better. This is about becoming better, not by chance, not by hoping, but by choice, starting today. Because no matter what you've been through, You're still standing. You're still breathing. And that means you still have a choice to surrender or to rise. And if you've made it this far, I believe you've already chosen. You just needed someone to say, let's go. It's time to turn your pain into power. Part 1, face the pain. Don't flee it. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. Most people live their entire lives doing one thing, avoiding the truth, avoiding discomfort, avoiding the wound that never healed, avoiding the mirror that shows them who they've become. And what do they get in return? A quieter life? No. They get numbness. They get stagnation. They get a silent prison of suppressed emotions and unexplored potential. Let's call it what it is. Avoidance is a seductive form of self-destruction. It tells you you're protecting yourself, when really you're training yourself to run from reality. And here's the brutal truth. You cannot grow stronger if your first instinct is always escape. Pain is a doorway, not a dead end. Pain is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your transformation. But it requires something rare, courage to face it, not to fix it instantly, not to justify it, just to face it raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable. That one act, facing the pain, is the line that separates the powerful from the powerless. The powerless numb themselves. The powerful study the pain. They ask, what is this pain here to teach me? Because every pain has a purpose. Every ache is a messenger. But you only receive the message when you stop running. The psychology of fleeing, why we avoid. Let's break it down. Why do we run? Because the brain seeks safety, not strength. It's wired for comfort, not courage. So when the pain hits physical, emotional, spiritual, your survival instinct kicks in. You distract, you deny, you delay, you drown it in busyness, nuance, or fake smiles. But let me ask you, how has that been working for you? Has running made the pain go away? Has silence ever truly healed the wound? Of course not. It just buried it deeper where it could rot silently and sabotage your life later. Pain that is not faced becomes pain that controls you. The pain you refuse to face will own you. It will control your decisions. It will shape your relationships. It will warp your identity. Until one day, you wake up and realize you've been living your entire life trying not to feel. That's not strength. That's surrender in disguise. You don't heal by running faster. You heal by stopping long enough to see what's really hurting. Pain faced equals power gained. Pain avoided equals weakness multiplied. How to face the pain even if you're terrified. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming honest. Here's how you start one. Name the pain clearly. Stop calling it stress. Stop saying, I'm just tired. Call it what it is. I feel abandoned. I feel like I'm not enough. I'm angry because they never apologized. I'm grieving something I never even got to hold. Name it, because what you don't name, you cannot tame. R. Sit with it without trying to solve it. This is the hardest part. We're wired to fix, to find closure, to rush to the positive, but real strength is found in stillness with the struggle. Don't rush. Don't rationalize. Just sit. Just breathe. Let the pain be real, and you'll find that it starts to lose its power. Sen. Write down what the pain is trying to teach you. Pain always has a lesson. Is it showing you where your standards are too low? Is it reminding you of something you buried years ago? Is it revealing who really cares and who only stayed for the sunshine? Pain reveals truth. Write it down. Not for the world, for yourself. That's how you start turning wounds into wisdom. So, remind yourself you've survived worse. This isn't your first battle. You've bled before. You've wept before. And you're still here. Let that sink in. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. Facing this pain won't break you, but running from it will. Pain faced is a catalyst. Pain avoided is a curse. The pain you face becomes your fuel. The pain you avoid becomes your fear. And fear makes you small. Fear makes you passive. Fear makes you accept a life that is less than what you were built for. But the moment you face the pain, something shifts. You go from victim to witness, from witness to warrior, from warrior to creator. Because now pain is no longer your master. It is your message. Let this be the day you stop running. Today is the day you stop rehearsing the past and start reclaiming your future. You don't have to solve everything today. You don't need the full blueprint. You just need to stop running and turn toward the thing that scares you. You'll realize it's not as big as you feared, and you're not as weak as you believed. The strongest version of you is not someone who avoids storms. It's someone who walks into them with eyes wide open and a heart that refuses to quit. Pain isn't personal. Pain is preparation. For what? For the power, clarity, and depth of character that cannot be forged any other way. Before we move on, ask yourself this question and don't look away. What pain have I been avoiding and what has it been costing me? Write it down. Look it in the eye. And when you're ready, come with me. Because in the next part, we go deeper. We don't just face pain, we use it as a reminder that you're still alive, still in the fight, still capable of transformation. Let's go. Part 2. Pain is proof that you're alive. Use it. The fact that it hurts means you still have something worth fighting for. Pain gets a bad reputation. People treat it like an enemy. They avoid it, curse it, try to bury it, medicate it, drown it in distraction. But here's a radical truth the world won't tell you. Pain is not a sign that you're broken. It's proof that you're still breathing, still fighting, still human. And if it hurts, that means you're not dead yet. That means the game is still on. You still have choices to make. You still have strength to summon. You still have something worth becoming. Let that sink in. Your pain is not proof of weakness. It's evidence of life. Numbness is the real danger. There is something far more terrifying than pain. It's not failure. It's not heartbreak. It's not exhaustion. It's numbness. Numbness is when the fire goes out, when your spirit gives up before your body does, when you stop feeling, stop caring, stop showing up. It's when you say things like, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't even feel it now. And people call that strength. No, that's not strength. That's spiritual sedation. That's when the light inside starts to die. Because here's the truth, feeling pain means you still have the capacity to change. The moment you go numb, you stop growing, you stop dreaming, you stop building, you just exist. And you were never meant to just exist. You were meant to rise. Pain is an alarm clock. You don't wake up without discomfort. You don't shift direction without a jolt. You don't rewrite your identity unless something breaks first. Pain is life's way of saying, hey, wake up. Something is misaligned. Pay attention. But most people don't treat pain like an alarm. They treat it like a punishment. So what do? They press snooze. They sedate it with entertainment. They chase pleasure to drown the ache. But guess what? Every time you avoid the pain, you miss the message. Every time you drown the discomfort, you delay the growth. Every time you numb the signal, the problem gets louder until it becomes unavoidable. So instead of numbing it, start listening to it. Pain is a mirror. What is it revealing? Pain doesn't just appear for no reason. It shows up to show you something you've been ignoring. Ask yourself, what is this pain telling me I've tolerated for too long? What standard have I lowered that's now biting back? What boundary did I violate that's now demanding correction? What truth have I refused to face? Pain is honest. It will never lie to you. But it will whisper, not scream, until you choose to listen. And when you do, it becomes fuel. Real strength is feeling everything and still choosing discipline. Don't buy into the lie that strength is about not feeling. Real strength is about feeling deeply and still choosing forward motion. It's crying and showing up anyway. It's hurting and still honoring your commitments. It's doing but not quitting. You're not strong because it's easy. You're strong because it's not. If it didn't hurt, it wouldn't count. If it didn't cost you something, it wouldn't shape you. Your tears have value. Your ache has wisdom. Your struggle has direction. But you only get the reward if you refuse to waste it. What most people do with pain and why it doesn't work. Let's be blunt. Most people waste their pain. They turn it into bitterness. I'll never trust anyone again. Excuses. This is just who I am now. Victimhood. Nobody understands how hard it is. A personality. My trauma is my identity now. But you, if you're still here, you're different. You don't want to wear your pain. You want to use it? You want to turn it into fuel, into fire, into focus. You want to say, if I had to go through that, then I'm damn sure going to make it count. Pain plus reflection equals power. Pain by itself is just raw energy. But pain combined with reflection becomes transformation. Here's how to use it. Step 1, feel it fully. Stop intellectualizing it. Let yourself feel the full weight of it without judgment. Step 2, find the lesson. Ask yourself, what is this pain preparing me for? Because it always has a preparation inside it. Step 3, attach it to a purpose. Channel it towards something that matters. Let heartbreak fuel your boundaries. Let failure sharpen your focus. Let regret raise your standards. You don't need to forget the pain. You need to assign it a mission. Pain is an invitation, not a sentence. So many people think pain is life's way of punishing them. It's not. Pain is an invitation to step up, to wake up, to finally stop drifting and start deciding who you want to become. The strongest people you admire, they weren't handed ease. They were handed pain, and they said, this will not define me. This will refine me. Turn the pain into proof. Every moment of pain you've survived, every breakdown you didn't think you'd come back from, every hour you spent crying in silence is proof. Proof that you're still in the game, still in the fight, still being sculpted. You've come too far to waste it now. Don't curse the pain. Convert it. Convert it into drive, depth, decisiveness, discipline. Because that's the version of you the world is waiting for. Not the version who pretends nothing hurts, but the one who says, yes, it hurt, and I used it to build a mind no storm can shake. Final reminder before we move on, pain is not your proof of failure. It's your proof of life, and life, real life, includes bruises. But you're still here, which means there's still work to do and power to extract. So here's your next mission. Look at your greatest pain and write down the greatest gift it gave you. It might be clarity. It might be humility. It might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Whatever it is, use it. Because next up, we're not just feeling the pain. We're learning to train our response to it. Let's go deeper. Part 3, train your response, not your reaction. What breaks you isn't the pain itself, it's how you respond to it. Pain hits everyone. No one is exempt. No matter how wealthy, spiritual, intelligent, or successful, pain comes. But what separates the master from the victim is not who feels pain, it's who controls what happens next. Because the pain itself is never the problem. Your reaction is. Pain is not personal, but your pattern is life. Will test you. That's a fact. But most people don't fail because of what happened to them. They fail because they keep responding like children trapped in adult bodies. They scream, they shut down, they seek revenge, they spiral into self-pity, and then they wonder why their life never changes. Here's the harsh truth. Pain reveals the pattern you haven't fixed yet. You're not upset because of the event. You're upset because of the meaning you attach to it automatically, unconsciously, repeatedly. Reacting is automatic. Responding is trained. That's the difference between chaos and command. Emotional reactivity equals mental slavery. When you react blindly, you are not in control of your life. You're just a puppet of your emotions. Someone says something and you explode. Something doesn't go your way and you spiral. You feel anxious and you shut down. That's not power. That's emotional enslavement. And you cannot build anything meaningful, not a relationship, not a business, not a legacy. If your inner world is owned by your outer conditions, the world is not chaotic. Your interpretation is, until you train your response, You will keep reliving the same pain under a different name. Reaction versus response, know the difference. Let's get clear. Reaction is the emotional autopilot. Response is the conscious pilot who reclaims the wheel. You can't choose what hits you, but you can choose what you do next. And that's where all your power lives. Training your response, the discipline of emotional precision. Here's how high-performing minds respond differently. 1. Pause before the pattern plays. The average person lives on impulse. The powerful person inserts a pause, just a few seconds. In that space, you reclaim your mind. You go from, why is this happening to me, to what is this calling me to rise through? I need to fix this now. 2. I need to sit with this and choose with wisdom. That moment of pause is where reactivity dies and response is born. R. Name the reaction you're feeling. Don't pretend you're fine. Name it like a surgeon points to a wound. I feel rage right now. I feel scared of being abandoned. I feel small and invisible. The goal isn't to shame the emotion. The goal is to identify it, so you don't become it. Because anything you can name, you can navigate. San, ask the response question. This one question changes everything. What would the strongest version of me do right now? Not the most comfortable version, not the ego version, not the wounded inner child, but the future, unshakable version of you, the one you're building. Let them answer. Then obey that answer. That's response over reaction. That's leadership over victimhood. That's identity over emotion. Why most people never change? They're addicted to reacting. Let's go deeper. People say they want peace, but what they really want is the emotional high of reaction, because it gives you something rage gives you control. Victimhood gives you attention. Drama gives you identity. But it's all borrowed power. It fades, and then you're empty again. True power isn't loud. It's quiet. It's composed. It's precise. Reacting is emotional junk food. Responding is mental discipline. Only one builds a life worth living. You are not your first thought. Most people assume, if I feel it, it must be true. If I think it, it must be me. No, you are not your first reaction. You are not your first thought. You are the one who chooses what comes next. That's where identity lives. That's where freedom is forged. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power to choose. In that choice lies your growth and your freedom. Viktor Frankl, train that space, stretch it, strengthen it. That is your fortress. Mental rehearsal build the muscle before the battle. Don't wait for a crisis to train your response. Do it daily. In the morning, visualize. If I'm challenged today, I will respond like this. When you're calm, script the responses you want to master. So when pressure comes, you don't default. You deploy. Train like a fighter. Think like a general. Lead like someone who has already won the war inside their own mind. Your new identity, the one who responds with command, from this moment forward. You are no longer a reactor. You are a responder. Your power comes not from force, but from choice, from intention, from being the kind of person who can be trusted under pressure. Let others scream. Let others spiral. Let others collapse under emotion. Not you. You will breathe. You will observe. You will choose. Because you are training something few ever master: emotional precision, mental clarity, unshakable internal command. Before we move on, here's a challenge that will rewire your entire nervous system. For the next 24 hours, do not react to anything instantly. If something triggers you, pause, breathe, observe the emotion. Ask, what would the strongest version of me do? Then act not from survival, but from design. You'll start to realize power isn't force. Power is presence. And once you master that, the storms can come, but they can't move you. Ready to go deeper, because next up, we eliminate the tiny habits that keep contradicting the strong identity you're building. Let's move into part 4. Eliminate contradictory microactions. Every small choice is a vote for the person you're becoming, or against them. You can have a powerful mindset, a crystal clear vision, and even a well-trained response system. But if your daily behaviors don't match that identity, you're not moving forward. You're just mentally inspired and physically contradicting. And that contradiction is why most people stay stuck. Because they're saying one thing, but doing another. The identity gap, what you say versus what you do. Let's get brutally honest. You say you want mental discipline, but you scroll endlessly when no one's watching. You say you want clarity, but you begin each morning in chaos. You say you want emotional control, but you vent online like a victim. You say you want to be unshakable, but you flinch at the first sign of discomfort. That's not ambition. That's identity contradiction. And no identity can survive when it's being attacked by its own micro-actions. You don't become who you want to be by making one massive decision. You become that person by making 10, 0, aligned micro-decisions day after day. The subtle power of small. It's not the big failures that kill momentum. It's the tiny, quiet, and visible decisions made in private. Hitting snooze once, skipping one workout, saying just this time, telling yourself, it's okay. No one will know. But guess what? You know, and every time you act against your identity, even when it's small, you're teaching your brain that your word doesn't matter. That's how inner power erodes, not by disaster, but by permission slips. You don't lose strength in an explosion. You lose it in daily erosion. Audit the micro-actions. The silent saboteurs want to know why you feel disconnected, inconsistent, stuck. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you haven't audited the micro-actions that silently betray you. Here's what to do. 1. List the version of you you're building. Example, I am disciplined. I wake up clear and calm. I don't seek validation. I build value. I do what I said I'd do even when it's hard. R. Observe your actions in the last 3 days. Where do your behaviors contradict that list? Ask, am I acting like the person I say I am? Am I keeping the small promises when no one is watching? Am I reinforcing my identity or eroding it? If the answer isn't clear, the truth probably is. Eliminate or replace no more neutral habits. Not every habit is neutral. There's no such thing as just a little off. Every action either reinforces who you want to become or reaffirms who you used to be. So here's the rule. If it contradicts your highest self, it doesn't belong. Not because it's bad, but because it costs alignment, and alignment is everything. Examples. If checking your phone first thing in the morning creates anxiety, replace it with breath plus intention. If scrolling social media numbs your drive, delete the app or block access during deep work hours. If venting makes you feel weaker after, build a habit of journaling to regain control, not dump emotion. Your life becomes what you tolerate in private. Raise the standard. The power of invisible integrity. Integrity is not just about honesty. It's about internal alignment. It's the quiet discipline of doing what matches your identity, especially when no one claps, watches, or validates. Examples, you get out of bed on time not for praise, but because you said you would. You speak with respect not because others deserve it, but because that's who you've chosen to be. You walk away from emotional chaos not to avoid conflict, but to protect your peace. This is invisible integrity. And this is what separates those who talk transformation from those who embody it, building identity one choice at a time. Let's be clear, you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to commit to aligned actions over and over again until they become automatic. Each choice is a vote. Do I reinforce the identity I'm building, or do I relive the old one I said I left behind? You're not weak for slipping. You're only weak if you normalize slipping. So what do you do when you notice a contradiction? Simple pause. Correct. Recommit. That's how leaders are built. That's how character is forged. That's how identity becomes reality. Replace. I'll try with I align. Most people say things like, I'll try to be more disciplined. I'll try to wake up earlier. I'll try to stop overreacting. No. Trying is weak language. The powerful person doesn't try, they align. They say, this is who I am now. This action either matches that or it's not happening. No more debate. No more permission. Just alignment. That's not rigidity. That's clarity. Your new standard, zero contradictions. From this point forward, you don't negotiate with habits that dilute your power. You don't excuse behavior that betrays your word. You don't tolerate anything that contradicts the identity you're building. You raise the bar internally. Not because of ego, but because your future depends on it. You're not building a brand. You're building a mind people can trust, including yourself. Before we move on, here's a practical challenge. For the next 48 hours, track every action and ask, does this align with the strongest version of me? Every scroll, every bite, every word, every reaction. Not to judge, but to observe. Because the moment you become aware of contradiction, you gain the power to eliminate it. And when your actions and your identity match, you become unstoppable, ready to move forward. Because in part 5, build internal command, do what you said you'd do. We'll unlock the discipline of self-trust, the most powerful force on earth. Let's go. Self-trust is built when your actions consistently obey your own word. It's easy to talk, easy to write goals, easy to speak ambition, easy to say, this year will be different. Easy to scream motivation into the void. But talk is cheap. Even belief is cheap. Only action has weight. And more importantly, only action repeated under pressure builds self-command. Because you don't become powerful by shouting your dreams. You become powerful the moment you say, this is what I said I'd do. And no matter how I feel, I'll do it. That's when transformation begins. That's when your mind starts listening to you instead of questioning you. That's how you become mentally unshakable. Why most people don't trust themselves? Let's be brutally honest. Most people don't trust themselves. Not because they're weak, but because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They've trained their brain to expect. He says he'll wake up early, but he won't. She says she'll stop texting him, but she'll cave. He says this is the year, but we've heard that before. So now, even when they try to change, they feel resistance. They doubt themselves. They don't believe their own declarations because their past voted against their current identity. The death of self-command, permission-based living. Most people wait for the perfect mood, the perfect energy, the perfect alignment of emotions. And if those feelings don't show up, they fold, they delay, they negotiate with themselves. Let's call it what it is. That's weakness in disguise. That's permission-based living. That's emotional slavery dressed as being kind to yourself. Self-command is when you act anyway. Not because it feels right, but because you gave your word. Power is following through when the mood is gone. Every promise you make to yourself and follow through becomes a brick in the wall of self-trust. Every time you wake up when you said you would, follow the routine when it's inconvenient. Finish what you started without praise. Show up when no one's watching. You're building internal command. And command is everything. Because when you can lead yourself under pressure, no external, chaos can move you. The most dangerous habit, breaking your own word. You think eating that one donut doesn't matter? You think skipping that one workout doesn't matter? You think delaying that one task doesn't matter? But here's what's actually happening. You're training your nervous system to believe what I say doesn't matter. My word is optional. Comfort, commitment. And then you wonder why your confidence is low, why your identity doesn't feel real, why your motivation always fades. It's not the goal that's broken. It's your relationship with your own word. Fix that and everything changes. How to build internal command practically. It's not about willpower. It's about systematic obedience to your own identity. Here's how to build that discipline. 1. Make fewer promises, but make them sacred. Don't say, I'll do 10 things today. Say, I'll do this one thing, no matter what. Then do it. Repeatedly. You're not trying to prove to the world you're strong. You're proving it to your nervous system. R. Create visible evidence. Every time you do what you said, track it. Use a habit tracker, a journal, a whiteboard, a calendar. Why? Because what gets tracked becomes real. It's no longer abstract. It becomes identity data. San, keep your word, especially when you're emotional. Anyone can follow through when they feel good. Leaders follow through when they don't, because the standard doesn't bend based on mood. The mission doesn't shrink to fit comfort. S, audit your self-talk in hard moments. Do you say, maybe I'll do it later, one day off won't hurt, I just need a break? Or do you say, I gave my word and I obey my own voice? Because that voice, the one you obey when it's hard, becomes your future. Rewire your mind with this phrase. Every time you feel resistance, say this out loud. I do what I said I'd do no matter how I feel. Say it until it becomes your instinct. Say it until your body follows without debate. Say it until it's not motivation anymore, it's programming. Because that's the moment you stop reacting like a slave to emotion and start commanding your life like a leader of destiny. Bonus, the confidence loop. Here's a game-changing concept. Self-trust, consistency, identity, confidence. You don't get confidence. You build it every time you follow through. And when you do that long enough, you no longer try to believe in yourself. You just do. Because you've created a history that your brain can't argue with. Internal command makes you unstoppable. The world can doubt you. People can criticize you. Circumstances can shift. But if your mind says, I do what I said I'd do, no matter the pressure, then you are immovable. You'll outlast people more talented. You'll outgrow people more favored. Because your strength is compounded in silence. Your challenge before we move on, choose one small action today that matches the identity you're building. Not something easy. Not something performative. Something that requires obedience even when comfort whispers later. Then do it. Without debate, without delay. Track it. Repeat it tomorrow. Then again. And again. That's how you become someone the world and your own mind can count on. Ready, because in part 6, pain is a filter, it reveals who's real. We'll go deeper into how your trials expose who and what truly belongs in your life. Let's go. When it hurts, the fake will flee. The real will rise. Pain is more than a teacher. It is a filter. It cleans. It clears. It removes what doesn't belong, even if you're too attached to let go yourself. When pain enters your life, it doesn't just challenge you. It reveals the truth around you. And what it reveals is often uncomfortable. Who actually cares? Who was only clapping when you were winning? Which goals were real and which were fueled by ego? Which habits were solid and which were performative? Which people add strength and which ones vanish when you're weak? Pain strips away illusion. And though that hurts, it's one of the greatest gifts life can give you. Pain exposes truth faster than time. Time reveals. But pain reveals faster. Because when things fall apart, the opportunist disappears. The crowd grows silent. The distractions lose their shine. The superficial becomes obvious. Pain brings clarity. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't sugarcoat. It just walks in and clears the room of anything that isn't real. The pain-tested circle. You don't know who your real people are when everything's going well. You know when you're down, when you're embarrassed, when you have nothing to offer, when you're bleeding, not broadcasting. That's when your circle is exposed. Real ones lean in. Fake ones evaporate. So stop mourning the people who disappeared when things got hard. They weren't part of the next chapter. They were never built for your war. They were comfortable in your comfort, not your fire. Let them go. Let the pain clean house, and then rebuild with the ones who stayed, and with the strength that grew in their absence. Pain also reveals your own weak attachments. It's not just people, it's patterns. Pain reveals what you've over-identified with, the job you thought defined you, the relationship you made your identity, the old self-image that no longer fits, the fake toughness that crumbles under pressure, and when it breaks, you panic. You mourn. You say, I'm lost. But you're not lost. You're being detached from what no longer serves you. And if you resist it, you suffer longer. If you accept it, you accelerate growth. Pain destroys illusions you didn't know you had. Most people don't know what's fake in their life until the pain exposes it. You thought that friendship was real until they vanished. You thought you were disciplined until the routine got disrupted. You thought your confidence was unshakable until one failure shattered it. You thought you healed until the same wound reopened. That's okay, because now, you know, you can't build real strength on false foundations. Pain removes what your comfort protected, and what's left, the raw, real, powerful version of you that doesn't need permission to rebuild. How to use pain as a purifier, not a punishment. Here's how you harness this part of pain 1. Ask, what is this pain trying to remove from my life instead of why me? Ask, what is being revealed? What truth is this pain forcing me to see? What attachments were built on insecurity? The answer will stay, but it will free you. R. Let what needs to go, go. If someone left you during your hardest season, don't chase them. If a habit failed under pressure, don't romanticize it. If an identity collapsed, don't try to tape it back together. Let pain do its work. Let it refine your path. Everything that's real will remain. Everything fake will flee. That's the filter working. Sand. Replace what was fake with what is forged. Don't just leave empty space. Replace toxic connections with solitude that strengthens you. Replace lazy habits with rituals you respect. Replace shallow ambition with real mission. Pain doesn't just take, it makes space. Your job is to fill that space with substance. Pain-free paths often hide powerless lives. People say they want peace, but what they often chase is comfort. And comfort keeps illusions alive. It lets you keep people around who aren't loyal. It lets you believe lies you haven't challenged. It lets you stay mediocre and call it balanced, but then pain comes and it destroys the illusions. Suddenly, you're exposed, but also finally real. And that's where power begins. Your life is not defined by what stays with you in pleasure. It is defined by what remains with you in pain. The ones who stay, you want to know who your tribe is? Wait until everything goes quiet. Until you have nothing to give but your raw self. Until the lights go off and the applause fades. Who's still there? Who calls when it's inconvenient? Who checks in without needing anything? Who reminds you who you are when you forget? Those are your people. The pain filtered them out for you. Protect them. Grow with them. And more importantly, be that kind of person for someone else. Before we move on, here's your challenge. Reflect on a season of pain and write down what or who it removed. Then write down what or who it revealed. You'll begin to see the pain not as a thief, but as a refiner. It took what was flimsy, and now you get to build what is firm. That's not punishment. That's preparation. Because in part 7, stillness is mental strength in disguise. We'll dive deep into the silent superpower that most people overlook. The strength to stay calm when the storm hits hardest. Let's build it. You don't need to react loudly to prove strength. You just need to remain unshaken. The world is loud, and in the noise, weakness hides in overreaction. Shouting becomes proof of false confidence. Overthinking becomes proof of internal chaos. Constant motion becomes proof of internal fear. But real power, it's not frantic. It's not reactive. It doesn't need to announce itself. Real power is stillness. Real strength is presence. Real command is silent. And if you've never built it, it's time. Because in a world that panics, those who stay calm become leaders by default. Most people mistake movement for progress. We've been conditioned to equate noise with power. We're told, say more, move faster, react now. Don't just sit there. Do something. So we rush into arguments, drown in distractions, interrupt our own peace just to feel busy. But what most people don't realize is constant motion isn't momentum. It's often mental escape, and escape feels productive until it collapses you from the inside out. The panic loop, how noise destroys power. Here's what the average person does when life gets hard. Step 1, they overthink. Step 2, they panic. Step 3, they react impulsively. Step 4, they make things worse. Step 5, they regret. Step 6, repeat. This is the panic loop, and the only way to break it is to replace it with stillness. Because stillness isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the discipline of deliberate response over emotional eruption. Stillness is not inactivity, it's mastery. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is doing only what matters, from a place of unshaken control. It is the mind that can wait for the facts, see clearly through the fog, hold position under pressure, respond strategically, not emotionally. Stillness doesn't mean the storm isn't raging. It means you've trained yourself to be the calm within it. And the world can't manipulate that. Circumstances can't shake that. People can't provoke that. Because that level of command is internal. And it's earned. How to build stillness when everything screams for reaction? Stillness isn't natural. It must be trained. Here's how. 1. Design your first 10 minutes of the day in stillness. Don't start your day with noise. No phone. No news. No messages. Instead, sit in silence. Breathe with intent. Visualize your internal state clear, composed, steady. This sets the emotional baseline. If you begin in stillness, you're far less likely to be hijacked later. R. Use the 3-second rule before reacting. Every time you're triggered, pause. Breathe. Count to 3. This interrupts the automatic reaction loop. It forces a space, and in that space, power lives. You don't need to respond right now. You need to respond right. San. Practice stillness. Under fire exercises, deliberately insert yourself into controlled pressure situations and stay calm on purpose. Examples: cold showers, stay composed. No flinching, hard workouts, steady breathing. No self-pity. Delayed gratification. Say no to the urge and smile. These micro moments build a brain that can sit with discomfort and choose. That's not denial. That's dominance. Sucked. Refuse to engage in useless noise. That means no reacting to every opinion. No explaining to those committed to misunderstanding. No proving to people who don't listen. No rushing into things that don't matter. You're not avoiding conflict. You're preserving energy for what actually deserves your strength. That's mental sovereignty. Why stillness is misunderstood and why you must master it. People will mistake your stillness for weakness. They'll say, why aren't you fighting back? Why aren't you defending yourself? Why aren't you rushing like the rest of us? Let them talk. Because here's the truth. Stillness is not silence. Stillness is strategy. While they panic, you prepare. While they spiral, you observe. While they react, you respond. And when the dust settles, you're the one still standing? Real leaders stay calm under fire. All great leaders, in history and in life, shared one trait. They didn't flinch when everyone else did. In the face of war, collapse, betrayal, or pressure, they remained anchored because they weren't led by emotion. They were led by principle, and principle doesn't shake when emotions scream. You want to be unshakable. Stop practicing noise. Start training presence. From panic to precision. Your upgrade path. Stillness is a skill, and here's how you sharpen it daily. Start the day in silence. Observe before reacting. Build tolerance for discomfort. Speak less. Act with precision. Exit emotionally noisy environments. Hold your internal standard no matter the external chaos. Do this, and you'll notice your anxiety fades, your judgment sharpens, your identity solidifies, and your peace becomes untouchable. Because peace is not the absence of pain. It's the presence of power. Before we move on, here's your practical challenge. Today, when something triggers you, delay your response for 10 minutes. Not to escape, but to train. Sit in the discomfort. Watch the mind try to panic. Breathe. Observe. Then act with design. And with every repetition, stillness becomes your new default. Not because life is easier, but because you've become stronger. Next up, in part 8, build your inner fortress before the world knocks. We'll architect a daily system that protects your mind from chaos before it ever arrives. Let's finish strong. Don't wait for the storm to come. Build a mind that welcomes it. Most people build their defenses after the attack, after the betrayal, after the failure, after the panic hits. But by then it's too late. They're reacting, not preparing. They're trying to patch holes in a sinking ship instead of fortifying their mindset before the waves ever hit. You don't become unshakable in the moment of impact. You become unshakable by how you prepare when it's quiet. That's what this part is about. Designing a daily system that protects your mental state before the world has a chance to disrupt it. A fortress isn't built during battle. It's built before it. Quietly. Strategically. With intention. Chase is predictable. So your defense should be. The world is not random. People will test you. Circumstances will challenge you. Pain will knock on your door when you least expect it. You don't know the form it will take, but you do know it's coming. So the question is, will you build your mental armor today or pray for mercy tomorrow? Because mental toughness is not about waiting to see if you'll survive. It's about stacking systems that make you unshakable before the hit. You can't outperform a broken morning. Let's begin with this truth. If your morning is reactive, your day will be defensive, and your life will feel chaotic. Most people wake up and immediately check their phone. Absorb opinions. Get triggered by news. Forget who they are before the world tells them who to be. That is mental suicide in slow motion, because the first 60 minutes of your day are not just a routine. They are the blueprint of your identity. So ask yourself, does your morning build armor or expose you to attack the inner fortress framework? Let's build your internal command system, one that holds when the world shakes. Here's the daily structure. 1. Morning identity lock-in before the world speaks, before the phone, before the noise, before the requests. Sit in stillness 10 mins. Anchor your nervous system. Write 3 I am identity statements. Review your personal code today. I lead. I respond. I do not beg. I do not chase. I command. You are not entering the day for approval. You are entering as a fortress, not a sponge. R. Midday reset and reaffirm after the hits start coming. By noon, distractions, doubts, and demands will have arrived. Most people collapse by then. You reset. Step away for 5 minutes. Breathe in 4 sec, hold 4, out 4. Say this: I do not serve emotion. I serve mission. Check alignment. Am I still leading? Am I reacting or responding? This midday reset is like reinforcing your gates before they crack. San. Evening audit and fortify while the world sleeps. You don't close the day with guilt. You close it with awareness and alignment. Journal. What did I do that reinforced my identity today? Where did I slip? What will I do tomorrow to reinforce the fortress? You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for pattern awareness. Weakness multiplies in the dark. Audit it or live with it. Systems. Emotion equals real freedom. Most people rely on emotion to guide them, but emotion is a volatile leader. It's late. It's lazy. It's reactive. Systems. On the other hand, don't flinch. They don't ask how you feel. They ask, did you show up or not? And when your system is built on identity, not impulse, you stop spiraling. You stop starting over. You live in discipline, not doubt. Mental fortresses are built from small daily bricks. You don't need a monastery. You need daily obedience to your own standard. 1 strong morning equals 1 stone, 1 paused reaction equals 1 stone, 1 aligned action equals 1 stone, 1 journaled reflection equals 1 stone. You don't see the fortress at first, but one day when life hits, you'll realize you didn't flinch. You didn't collapse. You didn't run, because the walls held, because you built them long before you needed them. What your fortress protects: your focus from distraction, your energy from emotional hijack, your decisions from reactive noise, your identity from external validation, your standards from being watered down by weak environments. This is your shield, not to hide from life, but to face it with command. You're either fortified or exposed. There is no neutral state. You are either fortified, calm, clear, ready, or exposed, anxious, scattered, reactive. And no amount of motivation can save you if your system is fragile. Motivation fades, but systems stay standing. You don't need more hype. You need a fortress. Before we close, here's your challenge. Design your fortress routine: morning, midday, and evening. Keep it simple. Keep it sacred. Keep it non-negotiable, because you don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your systems. And if you build your mind like a fortress, the world can knock, but it won't get in. You've heard enough. Now you build. This is the moment where most people stop. They feel something. They say that was powerful. They save the video. They move on with life unchanged. Don't be most people. Most people collect information. Few people convert it into transformation. Fewer still embody it until it rewrites their identity. You don't need more knowledge. You need execution. You need repetition. You need to lock in what you've just heard and live it out until it's automatic. Because the strongest version of you isn't built by belief, it's built by behavior. Let's recap the armor you've forged over the course of this journey. You've learned to face the pain, not flee from it. Use pain as proof that you're still alive and in the fight. Train your response, not your emotional impulse. Eliminate actions that contradict your identity. Build inner command by doing what you said you'd do. Let pain filter out what's fake and amplify what's real. Stay still grounded while others panic. Construct an internal fortress that cannot be shaken by external chaos. You didn't just listen. You rebuilt. One truth at a time. One discipline at a time. One decision at a time. Now you stand stronger. Not because life got easier, but because you got harder to break. The real test starts after this video. Don't mistake this video for the finish line. This was the preparation. Now comes the test. Will you do what you said you would? Will you return to the system tomorrow? Even when you're tired, will you catch the small compromises and cut them? Will you practice stillness when emotion begs you to erupt? Will you continue to build your fortress brick by brick when no one is clapping? This is what separates the inspired from the transformed. Inspiration is cheap. Identity is expensive. And most won't pay the price. But you're not most. This is the new standard. From this moment on, you move differently. You don't explain your pain, you use it. You don't wait for peace, you build it. You don't chase discipline, you live it. The strongest version of you is not a fantasy. It's a formula. And now, you hold it. You hold it in your morning structure, your micro actions, your emotional pause, your decision to lead from principle, not panic, your commitment to not flinch when it gets hard. This is your edge. Not talent, not motivation, not luck. Just non-negotiable alignment with the person you've decided to become. Before you go, one final challenge. Pull out a notebook. Write this at the top of the page. If pain is my teacher, what has it taught me? And what will I now do with that wisdom? Then list the 3 greatest pains you've faced, what each one revealed about you, and one action you will take this week to reinforce the version of you it called forth. Don't think about it. Write it. Because writing is commitment, and commitment is how change begins. Call to action. Stay in the arena if this video lit something in you. Here's what to do next. Comment below. What part hit you hardest, and what are you committing to change starting today? Save this video, don't just watch it once. Rewatch it on the days you feel weak. Let it reinstall the software of mental toughness. Share it with someone who's in the fire right now. Not someone who needs comfort, someone who needs strength. Watch the next video in this series. Because momentum doesn't come from one breakthrough. It comes from daily reinforcement. Click here. Insert next video thumbnail and link. Final words burn this into your identity. You were not made to live soft. You were not made to flee pain. You were not made to crumble under pressure. You were made to build something unshakable. Not out of ego, but out of principle, out of obedience to the voice inside you that whispers, don't quit. Don't break. You're closer than you think. Now prove it by how you move. I'll see you in the next training. But more importantly, I'll see you living this out in silence until the results speak louder than you ever need to. Let's build.